Hey y'all, welcome back to Ascending with Ashley. I'm Ashley. This is part 2 of Trauma Talks, specifically about the mental health or mental institutions. So I left off where my husband had dropped me off at a hospital like 2 hours away. So this is like the first time, well, technically the second time, but like the first time that he did it. He took me and dropped me off. And like I said, in the end of the last one, I was begging and screaming and like, oh my God, please don't leave me here. And I was put in a little like cell kind of thing in a hospital with like a gurney or a bed. And I was drugged and they like forced me to sleep for like a long time. But I remember also seeing stuff. So like I feel like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with MK Ultra. I don't even know if I really want to get into it in this, but I feel like this whole situation, I was MK Ultra'd to the max, with a lot of different things. It was very intense, but anyway, I don't remember how long I stayed at that hospital, but I do remember like being in and out of consciousness, essentially. I remember people being in my room talking to me. I remember them laughing at me. There were like windows on the doors, but they had like blinds. And that was it. I don't recall a lot. I don't know where I went after this, but apparently I was moved to another institution from there. I do not remember at least a couple months of this whole situation, especially in the beginning. Apparently I had a period. My husband told me whenever I did get home, and I would only be home for like a little bit, like a couple days before like he would call again or have me taken again or to drop me off somewhere again. I do remember, oh shit, where was I? At one of these hospitals or institutions, when I remember being there, it had been in the midst of being in and out of hospitals and institutions, and they were just drugging me and sending me home, and then my husband would just take me back. So this was from March to August of 2017. One of the times that I do remember, again, my husband was, still emotionally abusive and mentally abusive. That doesn't change. And he dropped me off. He said we were going somewhere else, and then he took me to the hospital, and I like tried to run away. And then I was put in the hospital, and they drugged me. I remember peeing and like detoxing like this lime green color. I don't know what they put in my system. But I was in like a hospital room with a bathroom. I remember my husband just like took me into the ER. So before I was in that hospital room, I know it's all over the place. These are horrible memories. I've never really talked about it to anybody at all. So I apologize. But anyway, that time that he took me to the ER, they shackled me in the ER. And they were putting drugs in my IV, and my husband took my purse and left. So I just kept getting abandoned over and over and over and over and released back to this person that kept doing this to me. I constantly feel like a burden in my life, and these are the reasons why, because abandonment wounds, and like I'm not dumb. Like I'm telling you what the issue is, you're not listening and you're gaslighting me, and it was horrible. So anyway, that time was super bad, but that was the time that I got admitted into that hospital room with the bathroom, and I detoxed like this lime green color. It was like coming out of me like wild, like from all ends. And then from there, I don't know. I mean, I was in like short-term facilities. I remember one time I went to take a shower in one of the short-term facilities. I think it was like connected to the hospital, but I don't know at what point this was, because there was just so many places. And the sheriffs were like making fun of me, and like, I don't know, it was just so awful. I know that there was sexual abuse. I think that the thing that people forget about women who experience sexual abuse is it's just like any other opening in your body. Like, you can feel it, even if it's not in there, right? Like, if someone were to put something in your ear, like a Q-tip, and push really hard and then take it out, and you would feel it still. You would know that someone did that, right? Same as with rape. I woke up in all of those institutions just feeling like someone had been in me, and a lot of the times I didn't even know where I was. I didn't know how I had gotten there. There were a few ambulance rides involved in this stuff. There were gurneys and shackles and court orders, and I actually took my doctor to court, and I won at one of the facilities. But then my husband just kept taking me back. Like, he just kept taking me back. I had no friends in the area. I mean, I had my one friend, but I had already they were at a loss of what to do because the situation had started there, you know? But yeah, it was horrible. I think the irony in all of this is that I had gotten my master's degree 2 years prior, specifically talking about how mental health and mental illness are used as social control, and that's the hill I will die on, is like, the systems are, you know, I equate mental health institutions and systems to the prison industry. It's very obvious to me, but I've been through it. But anyway, that's, you know, my special interest. So anyway, moving on. At one point, I had gotten to this one hospital, and I had never been there. And these are the times that, this is like after the first cloudiness of the first couple months. And the receptionist guy, or the person working, said, "Oh, welcome back, Ashley." And I had never met this person. So I was like, I asked my husband, I'm like, "Have I been here?" And he was like, "Yeah, you were here, you know, right after I dropped you off at that hospital." I have zero recollection of ever being there. I have zero recollection of bleeding. Everybody, my husband and hospital, told me I had bled, like period blood, but it was like a miscarriage or forced abortion because of the drugs. But I had no recollection of bleeding. Basically about 2 months, I just don't remember anything. But the ones I do remember, it was shit like that, like super weird, super, like, I don't know who this person is. I don't know why they say, you know. The whole situation was a complete mindfuck, which is just so counterproductive to what it's supposed to do, right? If it's supposed to make people feel better, but it was so, what is the word? It was so, what is that word? I don't know. Evil, but there's a better word for it. So anyway, like, everybody that worked with my husband was in on it. All of our friends were like his friends. It was the most isolating and terrifying time of my life. And when I got out in August, I don't remember what institution was the last, but I refused to take my medicine because, again, during my master's, I had already been medicated for, you know, years prior to starting my master's degree, and that's what I wrote my master's about. And then during that, I went off all of my pharmaceuticals and reclaimed my mental health from, you know, a false diagnosis. I'm actually autistic, not bipolar, not schizophrenic. I'm not crazy. I'm just different. I'm neurodivergent. And so it was about a decade that I had been force medicated by all of these different entities, both in, different states, because it started back in Wisconsin, and then I thought I was over it, and then my husband just refused to, we could have just, broken up. Why couldn't we have just broken up, if you're not, and then I went on to have a child with him. Oh, you're crazy. I know. That's the irony. Anyway, all that to say is that the only way I was able to reclaim myself is when I finally got out. I started a mental health space in Skid Row in downtown Los Angeles, and I reclaimed my health in front of everybody. I said, I'm gonna make sure you know who I am, what I'm capable of, and that you're not gonna fuck me like this. And it was to everybody in my life at the time, because nobody showed up for me. So yeah, I started a mental health group, and then that led to starting a women's support group, and then that led to starting a cancer support group, and then I got pregnant, and I reclaimed the medical aspect of birth. I had a free birth. I know a lot of people probably thought that was crazy, but if you would have experienced those things that I did in hospitals, being shackled to beds and force drugged and, abandoned, I highly doubt you would want to ever set foot in one again. And yeah, I think that my son's birth was the most liberating factor of my entire life. And my husband was home for the free birth. And I think regardless of, what he was trying to do, I think it really showed him that, I'm not the one, And I told him that. I'm like, if you want to play games, go play games. Just leave me alone. Why can't we just end this? And it was just, I was strung along with, false promises and narcissism and gaslighting and love bombing, And we have a relationship still. I just want to put that out there. I'm not trying to throw shade. I'm just trying to share my side of the story, and he just happens to be pretty prominent villain in that time, but we're cool now. And I think a lot of that is because of the birth. He watched me. He knows that I'm not the one. I'm like, you can go fuck around with other people, you can go, but I fell for it long enough. I'm over it now. I'm gonna start this new chapter in my life. You're not coming, so you can be a part of it however you want. And that's kind of our arrangement. I'm not giving any trophies for dad of the year or anything, but as far as baby daddies go, yeah, things are a lot better, And that was pretty prominent in our relationship, was he was a really good ex. Not so much partner at the time, but the way he treated his exes, I was like, oh, you're a better ex than you are a partner. So that's kind of where we're at. But I think that ultimately I think that growth and healing is constantly reclaiming our power and our agency. That was essentially the basis of my master's work, was you're not fucking crazy, you're not mentally ill, the systems don't approve of how you're acting, but you can reclaim your agency. And that's been my path for a good 15 years. And I think that the things that we go through do make us stronger. I'm tired, I'll tell you that. I'm exhausted, I'm tired, but it feels good to share my truth. I appreciate people listening. I survived. I made it through. I know how to advocate for myself and now my child now in those spaces. I think that I don't know if I'll ever know what happened, and I've had to take a long time to get to that space. This was back in 2017, so a few years ago. But I think that there's a chunk where I'm just I will never know what exactly happened, who all exactly was in on that, what happened to my body. I'll never know exactly what space I was in when. I'll never know if that bruise was because of me or because of someone else. But like those bruises aren't here anymore, you know, they're gone. They've been gone. And I just don't want to carry this shit with me anymore. I don't want this to be, I don't want this chain. I just don't want it. So again, I'm not sharing to throw shade on anybody. You know, I think everybody does the best they can in certain moments. I think that sometimes people are assholes and sometimes people are manipulative, but I don't think that, you know, I'm not here to throw shade. It was what it was. I think that he was given, you know, it wasn't just him making those decisions. Lots of people were in on it, including, you know, some of my family and friends giving him advice on what to do too. So, you know, the betrayal wasn't just one person. It was like a lot of people. So everybody calm down. But yeah, if you're wondering why I never leave my house, that's why. But in all seriousness, I really do appreciate it. I met a lot of cool folks in the mental institutions in Los Angeles. I really appreciate crazy people. At one point there was a riot that was started in Long Beach. Chick she like tackled the fucking pharmaceutical people. Oh my god, LA is wild, man. But yeah, it was intense. I don't remember all of it. I remember Long Beach. I remember Venice. There's a really cute guy that worked at the Venice one, and he stole my book. I want that back. Anyway, yeah. You know, after all of that, I was able to get pregnant, have my son. My son helped me to get the fuck out of that situation. And as fucked up as that might sound, like, first of all, my son's birth gave me back my pieces. It reminded me of who the fuck I am and what the fuck I'm capable of. And that was the beginning. And I'm still in this process of reclaiming myself. Single motherhood is no joke, but it's not as hard as being in a narcissistic relationship where people have control, you know, or use it. But yeah, ultimately my son and I got away geographically. And like I said, we still have a relationship, but there are, you know, it's very small, I guess, is for lack of a better word. There's not a lot there. I'm gonna run out of time. Thanks for being here.